So alternate uniforms, I've said this 2 or 3 times over the past decade. Every couple of years, I'll express it again. So for me, alternate uniforms are fine. I almost liken it though, like if you're one of the cool kids at school, you don't follow the trend, you set it. So to me, I look at like a Texas, an Alabama, a Michigan, Ohio State, and sometimes, Notre Dame's got those green jerseys, but that's almost iconic. They just don't wear them very often. So I wouldn't even know that that's an alternate uniform for them because that's something they've done for years. They bust it out every so often. So that's a part of their tradition. I almost liken alternate uniforms, and this may be an unpopular take, and I'm fine with that, to trying to be like the other cool kids at school. When you are the leader, you don't have to change who you are because you are the leader. You are, quote unquote, the cool kid at school or whatever, which is why you don't see a whole lot of, like the Blue Bloods we talked about yesterday. You don't see a whole lot of alternate uniforms with them. Exceptions would be like Oregon. When you're given green and yellow, which is literally throw up colors, I don't know what else you're supposed to do with it. They took throw up colors and they made a million different ways to have actually some pretty cool alternate uniforms, and their alternate uniforms is their identity. So to me, that's an outlier. Maryland's got kind of the NASCAR thing going on from time to time. They look like a NASCAR uniform to me sometimes. I don't know if that's ever really caught on. So for me, that's kind of how I view alternate uniforms in general. You look around at the well-known college football teams and blue blood brands and the big brands, they don't tend to change a lot because you don't follow everyone else, they follow you. And that's my take. Now, do I hate alternate uniforms? No, I don't hate them. Am I a fan of them? Not necessarily. I'm looking at these right. Like I don't have a gigantic dog in this fight. This is just my opinion on this. It's something that came out this morning, a little bit of a hot topic. Okay. Like this is not a ginormous deal to me. But since it just came out, thought I'd offer my opinion. It'd been a couple years, so here we go. All right, I prefer to stick true to what we've done traditionally. I know things evolve and change over time. I completely understand and respect that. But I always liken it to leaders lead, followers follow. And the alternate uniform thing to me is kind of like following a little bit to a degree. Now, the texter said it the best. At the end of the day, I mean, I would never send them out in pink. But if you go out in pink and you win, nobody's really going to care. Go out and beat USC. This is a team that in their own right's a little feels disrespected by the preseason polls. They're not even top 30. And you got guys like Josh Pate who think they're top 15 when it comes to their talent, and Lincoln Riley, and hopefully they can just keep getting better on defense. So go out and beat an iconic brand and a really talented team and an offensive-minded coach and Lincoln Riley. Get a big win in November. The games to remember are played in November. That's also starting now with the college football playoff to bleed over into December a little bit. Get the win. That's all that really matters. This is my opinion. It's not something it's not some hill I'm going to stand on and fight and die for. I will say this. I look at the uniforms they've got. They're basically all black. Okay, the helmet has a black stripe down the middle with a black end on the side. If you're going to get me on board with an alternate uniform, make it as black shirts oriented as possible, and I'm way more likely to buy in. That is just my bias running wild, and I'll be open and honest about that. I liked what Nebraska looked like growing up. Things do evolve and change. For me, that's still some of my favorite uniforms was what I watched growing up, and that's what I personally prefer. Not a gigantic deal to me, just my preference, but I do like anything that's black shirts related or seems to be black shirt oriented, so I'm a little bit partial to these particular alternate uniforms. What do the texters say? What say you, Jake?
Yeah, just a few more thoughts from the text line. Scott in Minnesota says, I think the blackout game is a great idea. The uniforms are mess, so not as excited for it. If you haven't seen the uniforms, they're basically Nebraska's normal uniforms, just blacked out. So there's nothing, crazy change. I don't even see anything necessarily black shirt related this time. It's just a black in.
Which makes it black shirt related. I'm just saying.
I mean, altogether it's black. I'm just saying the blak shirt logo.
All I see is black shirts.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We've had the alternates with black shirt logos before. I'm just saying. And Old Dad 34, why do we need an alternate uniform? Make that make sense. They didn't do it last year, obviously. So there's that. Scott in Minnesota says pink. Pink out would be, would be a good, for cancer, breast cancer awareness. That's usually in February, I believe. So
October.
October, is that okay?
October.
So
because I would wear pink stuff in October in the league.
Okay, yeah, so that would be an idea there. As far as me, it's funny because there's so many different angles for a different uniform that come to my head. First of all, Huge Halloween fan. My favorite holiday of the year. This is obviously the day after Halloween. I think that all is part of the idea with the blackout. I think it's not only going to be people in the stands with black on, but also a lot of Halloween costumes. So I think that will make for an interesting environment for USC to walk into. The black shirt tradition, like you said, kind of an ode there. But then there's, again, different angles here. Adidas, over the years, they've tried too much, people would say. They have a bunch of ugly uniforms. Well, here they did not a whole lot. They just changed the colors to all black, and there you go. So I don't think it's something that people can debate about too much. But the biggest thing to me is, for years and years and years, after about, I think it was 2014, the UCLA game, they kind of seemed to schedule these alternate uniform games for games they perceived to be W's. And so I think that's interesting that this year they decided to take full on, go against USC with the black shirt tradition standing out going into that game. And notably, obviously, USC is one of the better offenses Nebraska is going to play this year. So they did not duck the competition with alternate uniforms this year. They're going into it with one of their toughest offenses coming in, highlighting the defense. And again, like I said, the Halloween party portion of it's going to be fun too.
You make several good points. I would say probably there's about 3 offenses we're going to face this year that I consider to be really good offenses. We're not going to face a ton. You never know who's going to pop up and surprise you, that being said as well. But I think the 2 best or most talented is USC Penn State. So I love that there's actually a black shirt angle to taking them on. Now, is the game a blackout game?
Yeah, they're calling for a blackout as well.
I was not aware of that. That actually, I'm not going to lie, that changes how I view it. Because if you're going to have a uniform that matches what you're doing with the fans, I like that exponentially more. In my mind, it was just, I don't want to say just. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of Nebraska wearing alternate uniforms, okay, in general. But if it was just an alternate uniform game, I'm like, okay, whatever. Just win the game, and I'm not going to say a whole ton of it. There's not a hill I'm going to die on. I have my opinion, but it's not a big deal to me. But if you're kind of doing a blackout thing, and everyone in the stadium's wearing black, and then your team's wearing black, and they're known for offense, the defense is called the black shirts. Dude, when hell's bells rings at the beginning of the game, can you imagine what that atmosphere is going to be like?
Well, keep in mind the sidelines now are black, so the opposing team's going to be stepping in there.
I am much more on board with this now that I know it's a blackout game. Yeah. I was on board before because I want to support the team. Like, I actually really like this now. Now that I know it's a blackout game, hopefully if it's a night game following Halloween, I thought that was a phenomenal point. I did not look at the date of the game. I just knew it was first game in November. I actually really like this now. I don't want to say I've completely flipped because I wasn't completely against it, but I have flipped. And I'm actually very much looking forward to this. Black uniforms, black game, a blackout game. I hope it's at night following Halloween. I want to see some crazy Halloween uniforms. I actually really, really like this now. And I think one of the things that I do like about these specific uniforms, other than it makes me think black shirts, I know there's nothing specific black shirt on it, but it makes me think black shirts.
Sure, absolutely.
Is that it is basic. Here's what you'll find about me. Like, when it comes to uniforms, some of my favorite uniforms are some of the most basic uniforms you'll find. I like Penn State, nothing on the helmet. You look at, like, Nebraska was not overly fancy over the years, okay, especially when I was growing up. I tend to like things where it's fairly basic, but parts of it are outlined and tend to stick out to you. Like the Washington Huskies, that gold helmet with the purple W and then the white around it. There's nothing crazy about that, but it just pops. I actually like Notre Dame's uniforms. Again, 2 of the helmets I've mentioned don't even have anything on the helmet. Okay? I'm going to say this next thing, and then I'm going to deny I ever said it because nobody's listening. I actually don't hate, other than the burnt orange, just the all-white Texas uniform. Again, basic, iconic. Those are the things that I actually like. Now, I didn't say that. You will delete the recording of this forever. And that never happened. Now, there's one outlier to this. I've always kind of liked the Florida Gators, which is not basic. And there's a ton that goes into their multicolored uniforms. That's the one outlier to me. I respect what Oregon's done with their uniforms. It's never really been my thing. They've turned it into their thing, and a lot of people love it. And that's why I brought them up earlier. Florida Gators has kind of always been the outlier to me. I've always, for some reason, liked that. The cursive Gators on the side of their helmet or whatever has always kind of stuck out to me. All right. Anything else from the text line there? I'm actually like, I love the post Halloween, which was a great point by you. I love that it's a blackout game. We don't know the time of the game yet, do we?
No, we do not.
I hope it's at night. Dude, if it's at night, not just for the cold weather, just this would be like Penn State has their whiteout games at night. Like this could be our blackout game. Like I love this now, actually.
Well,
okay.
they've tried these blackouts before, and they haven't always been perfect, I suppose. Not everybody is aware of it, so it's kind of half red, half black. So hopefully we can get Husker Nation on board. Scott in Minnesota points out that people have a lot of black winter gear. So if it's closest, to November, whereas if you did it in September, which I think they've done blackouts before, maybe you'll get more of a response there. So we'll see. Waverly Jim says the same thing, completely pointless if it's not a night game. And Kabari Joseph had a pretty good point on YouTube that to me says, man, boring and unoriginal. That's not necessarily the part I like, but he says looks like exactly like the ones Iowa State wears. Iowa State has somewhat ruined the blackout uniforms because they wear them all the time.
Yeah.
They're not their school colors, but they think that's their best look.
It really doesn't make any sense when they wear them, by the way. And they overuse them. And basically, if you're trying to mimic anything Nebraska does, I just think it's awful and terrible. I'm just going to put that out there. All right.